Borough Council own the depot, so therefore they can't enforce against themselves. It's now gone to property to look at because it's obviously to do with the lease. In the meantime, residents of my ward have been putting up with concrete batching plant kicking in at all times of the day, making concrete, and trucks trundling up and down Forest Road, picking the concrete up. Can I ask when we like to see the end of this concrete batching plant and have it removed? Thank you.
Okay. Answer that.
It's quite a detailed question, so I'll give you a written answer.
Okay. Okay, all right. Sorry, who's, have you had a question? Have you had an answer? Yeah? Right, okay. Right, members, as we move on to motions now. We've got a motion, actually, 398, was proposed by Lindsay Ferris. And we will need to know who wants to speak on this motion. Could you please? 10 o'clock. Charles. You want to speak? Okay, members, it's 10 o'clock. It's time to close the shop, unless you want to move.
No, it's just
It is? At 10:30, yeah. What did you say?
It's 10:30.
I know, it's 10 o'clock, okay? It closes at 10:30. Do you want to cut two motions in that time, or do you want to extend?
Well, no.
Anybody want to propose an extension?
It's not here.
No, fine. We move on. We finish at 10:30. Lindsay, you're
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. During my time as a councillor, this is the first time I've been approached directly by members of the staff asking for help. They have raised concerns to me about the rollout of 21st Century Council and how various aspects of the project are being managed. I feel this is unprecedented and believe those who spoke to me are only the tip of the iceberg. Whilst it's appreciated, all restructures generate a degree of uncertainty. The levels of disquiet relayed to me are of significance and need to be taken into account now prior to the move towards phase 2 of this project. Earlier in this agenda, you would have seen questions from 4 members of the public who raised their concerns about how housing tenants have been and are being impacted by the changes that are being taken or about to take place. They've highlighted a lack of consultation, a lack of input from residents, loss of experienced staff, key staff seconded to special projects, recruitment of short-term staff, often with little training or experience, and whilst it mentioned embargo, I think it's actually a restriction on recruitment of permanent staff. Housing is just one area. I've personally had concerns about the impact on education services and support, plus highways and departments. These are all critical customer-facing areas of the council, and these areas are not able to perform properly. It has a major impact on our residents. One can speculate whether some of the recent upheavals associated with roadworks and other associated areas could have been impacted by the changes that are being proposed. The council has an opportunity to relook at the speed of the rollout and format of 21 Council, as we are in the process soon of recruiting a new permanent chief executive. The interim chief exec has had some experience of 21st century, which we believe will help, but she will not be running the council after the new chief executive has arrived. It is our view that any new chief executive will want to look at this issue very closely on their arrival. It would be very unfortunate if the rollout of phase 2 would progress too far that any concerns, changes that the new chief exec wanted to implement were prevented from being implemented either at all or in a structured manner. We therefore ask you to support this motion to enable a full review of lessons learned from phase 1. It would not stop some of the important work that is required to implement phase 2 from taking place. The council is moving into uncharted areas, and it needs to be recognised that it has statutory duties to perform and also provide an acceptable standard to our residents. On this latter point, I am beginning to get areas of disquiet from my own local residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have a second? Mr. Crewe Bray. Who would like to speak on this motion? Charles Marquette. You've got these, Stanley. Oliver Whittle. Pauline, Simons and Shahid. And Mr. Cowan. Okay, be brief because you've only got a few minutes. So we're starting off with... who?
I'm reserving my right if that's okay.
Well, I was about to ask you that. Okay, so the first speaker is... who? Charles Marquette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought it would be first useful to remind all members the purpose of 21st Century Council. This programme involves redesigning the process of the entire council to produce more efficient ways of working, to offer residents and members better levels of service, the opportunity to self-serve, and also to save £4.5 million a year. Phase 1 dealt with the internal processes of the council. It's been completed on time and on budget. It is delivering the processes promised and making it easier for staff to do their jobs. Over the life of the entire programme, it will reduce the number of IT systems within the council from 130 to 35 and see some internal working processes reduced by as much as 50%. These changes are delivering benefits today. As an example, the recent July staff survey showed that 93% of staff viewed the new internal intranet as better than its predecessor. The completion of Phase 1 is delivering £2 million of savings a year. Councillor Ferris calls for the process to be halted for a full review to take place at Phase 1. However, Phase 1 has already been reviewed and the key lessons identified, this information has been put into the plan for Phase 2. The key points I would basically list are as follows. Number 1, the Phase 2 directors, assistant directors and 4-tier managers will be in place before any of the staff consultation has started. This is being done to ensure the process design is more inclusive. This will ensure all staff have a voice in the process, and this should strengthen the entire process and provide a better service for residents. Number 2, all of the management staff involved in the staff consultation are going to receive compulsory training before doing any one-to-one meetings. The aim of this is to ensure they fully understand the process and can improve their change management skills to help all staff through this process. The HR process, number 3, has been, for Phase 2, has been improved to break it into segments. The benefit of this is to reduce the time for staff being placed at risk and the assessment process being completed. The aim of this was to reduce the period where all staff will feel unsettled due to the changes that this entails. And number 4, the IT improvements will be introduced section by section rather than one big bang. This will enable better training for staff, easier communication with the public and a smoother transition to the new systems over time. We go into Phase 2 with the leadership team in place who have delivered Phase 1. Phase 2 will be run by Heather Thwaites and Matt Pope, who have run Phase 1. Phase 2 involves all the customer-facing aspects of the programme. When complete, it will deliver significant benefits for all of our residents, as well as saving the council further money. We've learned the lessons from Phase 1. Any change process is not going to be 100% perfect. However, there has been a full review carried out and it's all been fed into the Phase 2 programme. Doing anything to compromise or delay Phase 2 will cost the council residents a lot of money. It will add risk to the programme and mean other services have to be cut to cover this. I would ask all members to oppose this motion so we can get on with delivering these benefits and these savings for our residents.
Very much. Oliver Whittle.
Thank you very much. Phase 1 has been completed on time and on budget and is now delivering £2 million of savings a year. And I believe we should immediately proceed with Phase 2, which is planned, costed and is already underway. However, to deal with the key points raised by Councillor Ferris, firstly, he alleges that staff morale in WBC is low. However, the evidence of the internal staff surveys done as part of the programme simply does not support this claim. I would refer him to the staff survey question 7 in particular, where 80% of staff responded that they were either looking forward to the programme, were excited about the programme and wanted to get involved and wanted it to get started. When given the option of choosing the response, I accept it will happen but wish it would not, only 4% responded in this way. This does not support the claim. He comments that some staff have been made redundant, and sadly this is correct. However, he does not mention that 30 people have received promotions. Their careers have benefited from 21st Century Council. Councillor Ferris also comments that members are unclear. Councillor consultations via the all-party working groups have increased over the last few months as we prepare for phase 2, and I would encourage all members to get involved as they wish to know more. Member briefings have started and members will be consulted extensively over the coming months. There is a suggestion that the start of the programme be delayed until a new chief executive is in place. I can't support this for several reasons. We do not plan to have a new chief executive until March 2018 at the earliest. However, as we all know, the recruitment process for such a position could be longer if we do not find the right candidate. The effect of a delay to the programme would be that the cost would continue, but the savings would be delayed. To give an example, a delay of 6 months to the programme would cost over £1 million, and £910,000 of savings would be delayed, with a significant effect on the Council's medium-term plan. At a time when budgets are so tight, I would ask Councillor Ferris which services he would like to cut to cover these costs and the budget shortfall. If he seriously proposes delaying the programme, we should ask him to explain how he would pay for the delay. We have all the key staff in place today to run this programme. Delaying it does not mean we can lay the staff off and then rehire them. If specialist staff leave, that knowledge and experience cannot be replaced quickly. It's gone for good. And any delay would create increased risk in phase 2 and lower the chances of a successful outcome. It could also lead to specialist staff using their experience and going to other authorities. We have reviewed phase 1, we have learned lessons, and phase 2 has been amended to ensure we improve the human resources process and cause minimum inconvenience to our staff. This review has improved the process. There's no need to delay, as key officers have all the information today to get on with phase 2. The Executive has already approved the 21st Century Council programme in full. The departure of Andy Coldrick has changed little. Phase 1 is complete and has been reviewed. Phase 2 was planned whilst Andy Coldrick was in post, and phase 2 will be run by Heather Twaite. Yes, and Matt Pope, who have already run phase 2. So to summarise, I would remind members that the 21st Century Council is about redesigning the council to ensure we deliver services to our residents in the most efficient way possible. Doing anything to compromise or delay phase 2 will cost a lot of money, will lower the chance of a successful outcome, will create uncertainty amongst the staff, will add risk to the programme, and would mean other services have to be cut to allow for it.
Thank you, Ollie. You must stop.
Yeah, so I would ask all members to oppose the motion.
Thank you very much. Ollie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me begin by welcoming our interim Chief Executive to Woking Borough Council, a borough which is a great place to live and an even better place to do business in.
You have to remember that.
That's our motto. Mr. Mayor, this motion presented by the opposition member to hold the implementation of the 21st Century Programme in flight is not only ill-conceived, but it also highlights a lack of understanding of the programme by the opposition. Let me explain what I mean. Firstly, again, it was alluded earlier on, understanding why the transformation is necessary. Let me remind everyone, if it needs a reminder, that we are the lowest funded council in the country, and there have been year-on-year reduction on central grants to the effect that from next year the grants will be coming to funding will be coming to zero. Yet we must continue to provide the important services required by our residents. To this effect, the council can either be more efficient or reduce our costs or optimise our revenue. And the Conservative-led council has been increasing the revenue through setting up the companies like Optilist and WHO, and also greater efficiency through shared services and programs like 21st Century Programme. We are not unique in this. There are many other councils throughout the country who are doing these transformation programs. Mr. Mayor, doing nothing or even maintaining the status quo is not an option. I think it was Albert Einstein who said we'll be finding insanity as doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Secondly, the 21st Century Programme is a comprehensive programme that impacts processes, people and technology, having a far-reaching impact on how the residents and members engage with the council. Any change by nature causes uncertainty, apprehension and anxiety. We're trying to reach a state we haven't been there before. Everyone is not likely to embrace the change, and yes, there will be some resistance and challenges on the way. I'm pleased to say that it was actually the Conservative-led council administration who had the foresight and the courage to initiate these difficult and yet sometimes unpopular programs, knowing that they are absolutely the right things to do that will lead to more efficiencies and more effective service delivery mechanism. Third point, that I'm not really convinced as to what will change with the appointment of a new executive, chief executive. Financial crown realities are not likely to change in the near future. That any delay is tantamount to kicking the program into a long grass and hoping that somehow it will not happen. There are projected £2 million benefits from the phase 2, and this is in addition to 2 million already saved by phase 1. By the time the program completes, there will be 4 million efficiency savings year on year, savings which cannot be sniffed at. In conclusion, Mr. Mayor, I would just urge the members to support the officers and executives to see this program through. In doing so, making sure that the lessons from phase 1, which already have been taken into consideration, are fully implemented.
Charlie, you're out of time.
Just last sentence, Mr. Mayor, and that impact on the staff is minimum as possible. Delaying or stopping, in my view, would be pure negligence and irresponsible behaviour. Thank you very much.
Members, could you stick to the time rules, please?
May I speak now?
No, it's Gary. You seconded the motion.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
You have the right to
No,
I would start by saying I do support Century 21. I do hope it continues to make savings and make the council a better place for everybody, the residents particularly. The only thing is, with a flagship policy and a new chief executive, two things happening at the same time. It makes sense, as I see it, for them to come together. And I would think that really pretty much as the last paragraph of the motion suggests, a delay in the timescale would probably be better because it allows the new chief executive to be fully hands-on in the process as it evolves. I've heard all the emotive issues from other members about costs involved and the loss of money, etc., etc. But all I would say is that none of it's evidence-based. It's just random figures that people have picked out of the top of their heads. And I don't think I would find that a good idea. Having said that, I do support Century 21, but I do think it should be delayed till the new chief executive is in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prue, you want to sum up?
I'm not summing up, I'm seconding.
I sum up.
He gets to sum up. Yes, please. I'm worried about the time, so I would like to get this in, seeing if I've carefully crafted it. I would rather we were properly funded to deliver decent public services, but we aren't, and we're not going to be anytime soon. So the standard response to this situation is to salami slice services until you've sliced them so many times they've been cut to ribbons. It must be better to try and reform the way the council operates as a whole. So I'm not opposed in principle to investing in a project such as the 21st Century Council programme. The whole advantage of this sort of approach is to take a long-term coherent view and build sensibly for the future. But I'm not confident that's what's happening. We do need a pause and a review and the input of the new chief executive. As you've heard, tenants already have concerns over changes to the housing service, and I want to be sure that the housing revenue account money is being spent only on what we are allowed to spend it on, and that tenants are getting their statutory right to be consulted, which they haven't had. Councillors have worked with our tenants and staff to rebuild the housing service into something that was really beginning to work well, and now it's being put in jeopardy. I would urge you to listen to tenants. As councillors, we are debating the 21st Century Council as a management tool, and to tenants, it's about what happens to the homes they live in, and their voice must be listened to. I also have deep concerns about highways, and we've heard the question I asked this evening about car parks. We have an enormous amount of casework coming to us, and we believe that highways is in turmoil, the staff are beleaguered, and in some cases despairing, and things are not working well. Conservative speeches this evening have expressed a great deal of confidence in the 21st Century Council programme, and I think it was Shahid who mentioned other councils who have gone through this. I do not believe any of them are unitary authorities, they are district councils. Once we start transferring this to adult social care and children's social care, we have to be really, really careful. If you can give me some examples of unitaries that have gone through this and come out the other side successfully, I'll be very interested to see them. There is a risk that if we have a pause, we will not achieve all the savings that we need in the short term, but you've just cheerfully agreed £400,000 extra for the local plan, so you don't seem to be sticking to your own fiscal policy. If the council gets this wrong by rushing ahead, it won't just be short-term savings we'll be worrying about, it could actually lead to us being unable to deliver statutory services within a couple of years. So please vote for this motion for a pause for more thought and don't just go charging ahead into the unknown.
Thank you very much, Prue. I believe Pauline Hay aside wishes to make a brief sending home.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Forgive me for overlooking me. I promise to be brief within the 3 minutes.
I'm watching the clock.
We are actually time-bound to save this money if we're to continue to deliver the services to our elderly people, disabled children, those who enjoy our parks, those who read books in our libraries. If we want to continue to deliver all our services to a high standard, we have to work on saving this money now. As you saw from the tenants' questions at the start of this meeting, the residents need us to get a move on. And for staff, any delay would lead to feelings of uncertainty. Phase 2 is going to give us over £2 million worth of savings. To delay the start date by 6 months would defer making those savings. I wonder what Councillor Ferris would cut to cover that shortfall. Furthermore, the timing of when we have a permanent chief executive is not at all relevant to this work. So Councillor Ferris's motion is based on a false premise. Why? Simply because this project was not being run by the chief executive. It's being run by 2 of our senior officers who are still with us. Therefore, Andy Couldrick's departure and the arrival of a new chief executive will have no impact at all upon our progress. In any case, although we hope to have a new chief executive by next March, Councillor Ferris's own experience in business will tell him that it could take a lot longer to find the right person. How long does he want us to wait to make our necessary savings? What does he expect us to do with the staff who have run phase 1 and will be running phase 2? Lay them off? Lose their skills and experience for when we start phase 2? Or perhaps have them sitting being paid to progress nothing? As you've heard, we have conducted a full review of phase 1 and will take on board the lessons learned. The departure of Andy and the arrival of a new chief executive will have no impact on that. Therefore, there is no reason to delay and every reason to proceed as planned. We must oppose this motion.
Thank you. Just in 3 minutes. Well done. Right, Lindsay, you're all right to sum up and we'll go to the vote.
Thank you. It's an interesting discussion. I think it has certainly caused a stir. What I would say is that what we're actually suggesting is caution. Reference the speed of the rollout of the second phase of the 21st Century Programme. If the Council does not get this right, then the cost of a failed rollout will cost many millions of pounds, plus severe inconvenience to Woking Borough Council residents. I also made reference to any new chief executive, and any new one coming in would most certainly want to have a review of the programme. And whilst the appointment might not be until March, 3 months before